Minister, and very good morning to everyone. It has been a long few days and lots of activity, and of course now we are faced by the information of a tropical storm that's rapidly developing and moving closer and closer to Jamaica. The latest bulletin that was issued this morning would have been bulletin number 29, that was issued at 11 o'clock. And just to give you an idea of some of the information that is there, while I'm hoping that we will be able to show a few slides, some images that I captured. The latest position was at 16.5 north and 75.1 west. Now that means that the system still has not moved very much. The movement has still only been about 2 miles per hour. And that has been the situation for the past 24 hours. No significant movement. There has been some strengthening, however, where the system has actually moved from a storm at wind speeds of 45 kilometers per hour to 60 to 65, and now reaching 110 kilometers per hour. At 119 kilometers per hour, it would be classified as a hurricane. So it is really on the brink of becoming a hurricane, moving still toward Jamaica. The expectation, well, the system is currently moving toward the northwest, and that is or west-northwest, and that is at just 1 mile per hour. And it is packing winds, as I said, of 110 kilometers per hour. Now that system is expected to continue moving toward the west-northwest. You would see one image here that gives you an idea of what the mass of clouds associated with the system look like. And if you look into that black area, at the center of the black, almost a circle, you'll see where the eye of the system is located. Very little movement, but it is drifting closer to the island of Jamaica, the eastern part of Jamaica, that's moving toward the northwest at only a mile or 2 miles per hour. Now it's expected to continue that motion throughout much of today, and then it is going to be moving toward the west, to move westward along the southern. Let me move to something that will show you a little bit more. There we go. If we take a look at this, it might be a bit small for you, but those black circles indicate the position of the system in the projected track. So it's expected to move toward the west, and when it is south of Jamaica, south of Clarendon in particular, it's expected to start moving toward the north. At that time, it is expected to be, all this time it is expected to be a major hurricane, because what we're expecting after today is that there will be rapid intensification of this system. That's a phase that some of these hurricanes go through, especially in these days of climate change. We find that this rapid intensification is becoming much more frequent, where there is a period where they just jump from one category to the next in just a couple of hours. So this is what we are expecting to occur with Tropical Storm Melissa, soon to become Hurricane Melissa, and it will continue to move toward the southern coastline of Jamaica. It should make impact to the coastline by Tuesday morning. Today is Saturday morning. So we have about 3 days of movement. During this period, we will be experiencing quite a bit of rainfall, because the rains are expected to begin anytime now. You would have experienced some brief showers already, but because of that cloud mass that you would see on the earlier image, I'll show you this one in a little while. Well, we can take a look at this closer one. You'll see that we are basically starting to experience the rainfall, Jamaica to the western side, the left side of the image. So the system will continue to advance closer to us. So we'll be into more of the oranges and the darker shades going into the black as we move through this weekend. So much of that rainfall will be moving across Jamaica, and that of course will be producing significant flooding over sections of the country. That is what would be expected with this amount of rainfall. The projection, I'll show you this chart, which shows us in that pink area. This is where the rainfall is expected what it's expected to look like, where the rain is concerned. And we're seeing that in the chart to the right, it shows 20 to 30 inches of rainfall. This is really an estimate, a better guide actually suggests that it will be more like 15 to 25 millimeters, sorry, 15 to 25 inches of rainfall that will move across Jamaica over the next few days. That is significant. When we have 2 inches of rainfall, it's holy per rainfall. So when we talk about 15 to 25, this is much more than, oh, that's somebody else's phone, I assume. Right, this is much more than you can even imagine to experience. This is a major rain-producing event. It is considered to be producing catastrophic flooding. In some cases, they say life-threatening. We have already heard about some lives being lost in Haiti, and this is because of this system. So we must take every precaution when it comes to the rainfall. If you are in any area that is flood prone, a low-lying area, you must find a way to build a relationship with somebody that will help you to move from that area, or move to those shelters as soon as they are open, and make sure that you are able to ride out this whole system. Now, it's going to be here for a long time. This system, as I said from the earlier picture, lots of rainfall, and it will be with us for a good 5 days or so. Heavy rainfall, increasing wind speeds. We are expecting that storm force winds. I believe there is another image that I could probably show if I got it in, probably not. But it shows that the tropical storm force winds are expected to start being experienced in eastern parts of the island by this evening. And then as we go through tomorrow, those storm force winds will continue right across the country. We expect that we will experience the hurricane force winds starting to impact the island on Monday morning. It's likely that it will be Monday morning. So we are going to go through almost 48 hours of storm force winds affecting sections of the island before the hurricane force winds actually begin to impact us. And that is expected to continue right through Monday, right through Tuesday, right through Wednesday, and then we could be starting to experience some weakening in terms of the wind speeds. But hurricanes have a way, even if the center has moved away from you, the impact of the system usually continues for another 2 days. So expect that throughout next week, we will be impacted by this system. It will be very difficult to move around. It will not be, even after the system has basically said that it is moving away. I had a discussion with representatives from the National Hurricane Center in the US just before I came here. And they were saying that the kind of rainfall that we're experiencing, that we will be experiencing, is going to prevent us from actually even doing some of the usual activities immediately after the system center moves off the island. We're going to be prevented because of blocked roads, because of landslides, because of the amount of water that remains over the country, that it's going to be very difficult to move around, assuming that all of this pans out the way that is being projected at this time. So it will be a major hurricane. What is projected right now is that it will be a Category 4 hurricane that makes impact on the island. It will likely decrease as it moves toward the north coast, but a Category 4 hurricane is more than we have experienced before moving across the island. Gilbert was a Category 3 hurricane when it moved over Jamaica. It became Category 4 when it was heading to the Cayman Islands. Ivan was a Category 4 hurricane, yes, but the center did not pass over the island. Beryl was also a Category 4 hurricane, but it also did not impact us with a landfall. It was a direct hit because we've got the heavy rainfall and the associated weather, but it did not move over the island in terms of the center of the system. We have not had this experience before, so it's important for us to consider this as an extraordinary situation. As you can see, the center is expected to move off the island later on Tuesday, but the conditions are expected to linger even as the situation, as the center or as the hurricane itself starts to move even over eastern Cuba. We will continue to experience spiral bands from the system moving across the island. Those can produce more torrential rainfall. Lots more of the flooding is likely to take place even after the eye of the system has moved off the country. So those are the images that I wanted to share with you at this time. There is also the concern of storm surge. This is something that is often overlooked, but we will recall that back in the time of in 2004 with Hurricane Ivan, we had storm surge that completely demolished an entire community, Caribbean Terrace in St. Andrew, near to the Palisades area. But that community no longer exists in the way that it used to because of storm surge. We would also know that with Ivan and with Dean in 2007, and even with Beryl, we had significant storm surge on the southern coastline in Rocky Point, in Portland Cottage of Clarendon, and there are other areas on the south coast that also were affected by storm surge. Now, storm surge is also a flooding event, but it is not the flooding from the rainfall. It is flooding that comes in with the waters of the sea. With these tremendous winds that a Category 4 hurricane could produce, that will push the water onto the shoreline from the water of the sea onto the shoreline. And with it pulling back into the sea, it takes even houses and communities possibly back into the sea along with it. So if you are living anywhere near a coastline, it is important that you pay attention to the fact that storm surge is a real potential. What will make a difference in terms of how badly you're affected by the storm surge is where exactly the center makes landfall. On the right side, or the eastern side of that center, the storm surge will be at its maximum. So if the center of the system passes over western Clarendon, for example, along the coast, the eastern part of Clarendon will experience significant storm surge, and this could be up to like 8 feet or maybe more. So we will give you more details later in our later bulletins of the height of the storm surge. We'll try to see if we can also produce some maps that will indicate how far inland the storm surge will impact, so that those persons who are some distance from the coastline but still in the low-lying area would also have an idea of what to expect. Of course, that's where we are concerned with places even in the St. Andrew, Kingston area, even coastal St. Catherine, that could be affected by storm surge. Port Royal comes to mind, and there are also communities associated with Portmore as you move toward the coast as well, that would be at risk from storm surge because of this system. As I said, it is what is called a catastrophic hurricane. That is what is expected to not only pass the island, but move directly over the island. I'm sure there will be some questions afterwards.